The tears I cry land on fertile land. May the tears I cry create something that stands tall and shines beautifully. Truthfully, my emotions can land on the rudimentary, things that distract me and create the thoughts of negative possibilities. I've cried on barren land where nothing grows. I've cried over things I should forget. I've cried over the distant. I've cried over the old. When the irrelevant remains prevalent, we disown the to dos of the present because of our negligence. At least let me cry over something that provides blessedness or helpfulness. Emotions laid down on the precipice of something that takes me higher. I dish out too much passion and grit to only have it deposited in something that won't reciprocate love or the energy I admire from above. Truth and honesty. People that honor what they promise me. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to feel. The presence of the real. Guide me to the land where the seeds are. Guide me to the land where the trees grow tall, distant, and far. I will bring the emotions and fears that will create my tears, and I will cry. But may the waters run deep and create lush grass and foods to eat. A place to retreat where I can be one with my peace, away from the dry land, away from the quicksand. I may be given sorrow, but it will be put on land that will build my tomorrow. Amen. Welcome back to the Pain and Power Podcast. This is your host, Justin Banks, and today we are discussing the topic crying on fertile land. There are so many things we can cry about today losing loved ones and the grief of not seeing them or experiencing their presence anymore, possibly losing friendships or relationships, years of work you may have put in, but some of the goals you had maybe didn't come to fruition, losing a job while you had a family, creating a business and it fails, falling back on your fitness journey. The depression, the anxiety, the suicidal thoughts, the low self esteem, the list can go on and on. And these are all reasons that can cause tears, reasons that can cause you to cry. Now, to cry means that something has been stirred up inside of you. Even if you're someone that cries easier than others, there's been a trigger that has made you feel an emotion strong enough to let out tears. I also want to go deeper when talking about the different types of cries. It's not always the emotional cry. Every time you blink, there are tears coating your eyes to prevent dryness and improve your vision. When you cut an onion and you cry tears, the tears are a mechanism being used to flush out possible irritants. Then, when you go deeper to the emotional side, the reason for crying could be endless. You have the unfortunate, sad tear stemming from something that made you so blue, so sullen, that tears had to be released to release the pain from your soul, hopefully, in an attempt to cleanse your soul. You have the angry cry, full of that tornado of emotions, and those tears come out in a rage. You see it all the time in middle school when classmates butt heads or even fight. And you can even see it in relationships when one partner is extremely upset at the other. The weakness, the emptiness, the panic, the pain causes the body to react to try to get some relief to calm your emotions. But with that being said, there are also the happy tears. I really wish we cried these more often, but there is a sense of euphoria when you organically feel so overwhelmed with happy, positive, and joyful thoughts that tears burst out in celebration of you, your accomplishments, or just being a part of the joy of someone else. Sometimes just being around someone with the same type of positive or negative emotion can exude the same feelings as you empathize with them. Crying literally has hormones, natural painkillers released in them to help you through your healing process. So this shows that there is generally a reason behind the tears that fall. It should be emphasized that there generally is a purpose behind our cries. But with that being said, just like anything, I believe there are levels to this. I believe that still too much of anything can negatively impact us. There are those of us who cry over everything. There are those of us who cry over the unnecessary. You ever cry and sometimes feel worn out after? You have been so stirred up with emotion that it can literally make you feel tired once you shed some tears. The problem, however, and this leads to our topic in general, is that sometimes we are crying over things that we should have let go. We're crying over things that we shouldn't be involved in. We are crying over situations we should have left. Things that don't make us go up in life. Now, what takes a lot to make me personally cry, and as said in a previous episode, I'm not ashamed when I do. I know that I may be overwhelmed and overcome with feelings when I cry, and I know the exhaustion I feel afterwards. I told myself that if I cry over something from now on, I'm going to share my tears over things that are truly connected to me through love. I'm going to shed my tears on things that help me improve. I'm going to shed my tears on a land that is fertile, where my emotions lead to something. I want the feelings I feel to lead to learned lessons to bring me to the next level. I want tears to grow my love and grow my happiness. Don't get this confused with grief or with losing someone close to you. You shouldn't lose your emotion because someone is not physically in your life anymore. Grief is love that has become sad. That's not unnecessary tears. Those are love tears and they should be released whenever you feel them. Now, an example of crying over the unnecessary is when you have faith without the good works. You pray to become a healthier person. You pray to lose weight, but you don't exercise or you don't try to eat right, and then you cry. You are crying tears created from self inflicted wounds. Your inability to do the work has caused you tears. You shouldn't have to keep crying over things when you have unfortunately created the problem. You should cry as you are fixing it. Cry during the fight. Shed a tear when you are fighting for a better life, when you're in a gym, when your body is giving up and you need that next rep, but it's hard. When you think about your why and what you've been fighting and repping for, that's when you shed that tear. Cry when you set a goal and you try your hardest to be disciplined and you stay consistent and eventually you got a goal accomplished. When you lost those 20 pounds or took a couple inches off your waist, when you feel better about how you look and how you feel about yourself, that's the time for some tears of joy. Cry when you've added some blood and sweat to the mix, not before you even put yourself up to do the work. Stop crying over people who have inflicted pain on you and you continue to be around them. Crying over people that you thought were friends, but they only see you as an associate. Shedding tears when they constantly take but never reciprocate your actions of love. Crying over people that lie and that hurt. It may be a shock in the beginning, and of course that can cause some pain that leads to tears, but to accept it again and again is not crying on fertile land. You are crying on a land that is barren, a land that is dry and has nothing to offer you, nothing to give you, just a thirst for something that you won't get in your current environment. Cry the tears when you escape or distance yourself from the negativity. Cry when you're in therapy and you begin the journey of finding out who you are. Cry through the process of healing and growing. I have realized through my own life experiences that we should not keep crying and wasting our energy and experiences over people or situations that are dry and barren. People that lack the ability to provide any nurture to your needs. The takers, the thieves and the moochers, the backstabbers, the controllers, the energy drainers. Enough with crying over people who could care less about you. I hate to say it, but this can apply to friends and family, unfortunately. If you both cannot contribute love and understanding, then what are they around for? Why do you keep going around them? Is it the quest for attention and the desire for love? Imagine that the attention you're after is just a brick wall that you just keep walking into daily. It makes you hurt, it makes you bleed. Does that seem like something that loves you or something that wants you near? Enough with crying over brick walls. Now, I'm not saying just cut off anything or anybody that makes you feel a certain way. People can love us and hurt us. It just takes some communication or extra work to get on the same page and move forward. But you know when something has just reached its end, but we still hold on. This is the time where we must let go. I just think it's time to start putting our emotions into things that are going to create better for us. Something that we can learn from and transform these lessons into seeds that can be planted into a fertile ground. Now, I did some research and checked out what exactly makes a ground fertile. What makes the ground capable of healthy production? A few things stood out. Number one, the soil needs the right animals like earthworms and even fungi living in them. The right animals for the right soil. Now, how does this relate to us? We need to be around the right people for the right season. We need to be around people who are around growth, who are around the deep roots, the tall trees, and the fruit. To not be around people like this may suggest that we are in an area that inhibits growth. Let's go further. Solid soil has roots that stretch far and that stretch wide. It is a healthy system. It is a healthy network. We need a healthy system. We need a healthy network of people. We need to create a system that encourages improvement. This could include possibly improving on a craft, reading, exercising, or having a better diet. Creating and finding networks in the areas in which we are trying to grow. Just hanging around what we know will only give us what we know. We must search and find different to live different. I want to add one more to this, and this still deals with the roots. Now, in healthy soil, you can have a large system of roots that are grown. Fertile land will also have space for more root development. There will still be more room for growth. Fertile land should always have space for growth and development. Growth and development specifically include areas of learning new things, promotion to new levels, levels of discomfort, and always experiencing something new. You ever just felt stagnant? You ever felt like you weren't learning or extending to new heights? Chances are you are in a barren land and it's time to find the water that quenches your thirst, the lush grass in the new land, the sunshine, the new experiences, and the new life. From now on, I'm making it a must to cry here, not somewhere where the tears would dry up just as quickly as when I shed them. Now, I think this is a good time to talk about the last time I cried, and this is the perfect time because it relates to something brought up in our previous episode when we discussed doubt. So, if you didn't take a listen to the Doubt is Costly episode, I talked about how I had to compete in this Athletes Games competition. It's a very tough 3 workouts that challenge your strength and conditioning, but also your mental strength and your focus and your fight. I talked about how I needed to get those 15 unbroken pull ups. Now, did I get it? Nope. And unexpectedly, as I dropped down from the pull up bar and the workout was complete, I immediately walked out of the entire gym into the parking lot and let out all the tears that I had. It was so much emotion that finally had to be released in this moment of failure. But it needs to be specified what those tears were actually about. The beautiful thing about training for something, fighting for something, studying for something, working for something is the why behind it and the fuel that it gives you. I was so emotional training for this because I wanted this so bad. I wanted to prove to myself that the hard work was paying off. To be honest, I also wanted that cash prize. I thought that winning would provide more publicity for our gym and get more people a part of our growing community. I wanted to prove that the blood, sweat, and tears yields improvement. Now, I didn't get everything I wanted to accomplish, but as I said before, I've made so many strides in the past year and have improved my fitness level so much, and I'm proud of that. The desire, the mental anguish as I tried to defeat doubt, the physical pain and soreness that I've been experiencing for months was let out in that parking lot. Training our members at 5 in the morning, then working on myself in the afternoon, and then training members again later that evening was let out in that parking lot. The fatigue as you fight and fight but keep getting punched in the process was released during that competition. Tears fell in the area and the land that yielded improvement and that yielded results. I was uncomfortable in that moment, but I came out better. I also met other fighters and competitors who were working out for something as well. I was blessed to start creating a network with hardworking people with some of the same hardworking philosophies that I have. I learned from people who were in better shape than I was. I now know what I have to do to get better for next year's competition. I cried in that kind of arena, and I can hold my head up knowing these tears were shed around a great group of people. Because of this, I'm still growing now. So even though I didn't hit the pull ups, was it really failure? I walked out with so much more. How can this relate to your own life? I encourage I encourage you that if you haven't done so already, continue to find environments such as this to keep you pushing in your own life. Now, this, however, is the kicker. I thought that the tears I cried were actually about something else in the moment, but it took a couple of days of self reflection to realize that I wasn't. And this is literally the genesis of this episode. For almost, I guess, 2 decades, I have been dealing with a particular trauma. Almost 20 years of traumatic events that have hurt me, but has also molded me into the person that I am. It is literally a part of the foundation of why I created this Pain to Power brand. This is a part of the pain that I've been creating power from. It has given me days and weeks of an empty pit in my stomach. These moments have given me fear and anxiety, frustration and anger, and just so many tears. I know this is a little vague in specificity, but this issue has probably been one of the top 2 things that has ever hurt me in life. Recently, there's been a resurgence of this issue, and the first emotion that came was anger. Like, is this really happening again? And for weeks, I was so down in the dumps, and it just affected everything I was doing in my day to day activities. A very dark and ominous cloud followed, And rather than feeling that empty pit in my stomach, it was almost like something heavy was inside and just pulling me down. I was mentally worn down, and it took me out emotionally and physically just a few weeks before my athletes games competition. I couldn't even work out for a while because I was just so worn out. I had no energy. And while I was experiencing this anger and disappointment, I can remember letting out every curse word I felt. I remember feeling lost, and eventually, I usually hit a breaking point and I cried. I've been waiting for that cry to come, and I tried to even force it out, hoping that I would feel better. And through my days of reflection, I finally realized that this well had run dry. No matter how close I am to this issue, I just don't have anything else to give to this particular situation. I've given as much love, compassion, and empathy that I can give, and I've not realized that I've been doing this in a dry place. So much has been dished out in an area that will not bring the change I would like to see. I don't have the energy to give to the situation anymore, but more importantly, I shouldn't. This is a tough area in which I must move on. This is an area in which I have to learn forgiveness and just move on. This is so I can live in peace and so I can reach new levels in life. This will give me the ability to turn more of my pain to power. I believe this is a challenge that God has allowed in order for me to learn the right lessons and have a message to deliver to you. You might want to try to force emotions or try to return feelings in certain situations, but sometimes you're not supposed to. Listen to those feelings and move on to the land that is greener. Don't forget what you learned in that barren land, but let it make you appreciate the fertile land even more. And make the most of it when you find the land that takes your tears and uses them to help you become triumphant. I want this episode to make you think about if you're putting the emotions in the right places. We all have things that we may need to distance ourselves from, but that is easier said than done. Intentionality will help you along that journey. Don't occasionally or randomly think that you have to get away from negativity or negative areas. Be focused and come up with a plan and escape. Pray about it. Be patient to learn the answers that are necessary. Discover what you like and gravitate more to those areas and activities. Get on that journey of self discovery, and when you know who you are, accept it and be intentional with your actions. Your actions and moves should mean something to attract the right things around you. It helps you notice what's really good for you and what's not. I believe I said this before in the last season, but TD Jakes has a quote saying, "If you know who you are, then you know who you are not." It's crucial for us to succeed. So this is an episode that I really hope you got something out of. I hope that, I'm not even going to say that. I believe and I know that I'm talking to someone who is going upward. The energy that you may have been wasting in dry and toxic environments can stop right now. Put that energy into your dreams and bring them to fruition. Bring the best out of you and stop putting your energy in only trying to bring the best out of someone else. Take care of you because there may be moments where you are all you got. But that you is powerful and is only getting stronger. So I pray this continues as we go through this podcast journey together. I pray that you are emotional in the productive places. And as always, I pray that you're powerful.